Everyone has their own personal interpretation of what it means to be an athlete, and whether or not you partake in them in this day and age, you can't really escape the commercialization of sports because they're everywhere. From clothing lines to billboards, radio ads to commercials, to food and drink sponsorships, and to the actual events themselves, we're surrounded by sports. Growing up in a world where sport has such a great importance in our society, it's no wonder that today's topic is one of great debate. Good evening. I'm your host, Austin O'Brien, and this is 60 Minutes. Really? What? We're live now? Why didn't anybody tell me? Stupid birds. Alright, sorry ladies and gentlemen, I thought I had more time, but the cutscene was much shorter than anticipated. So, back to our main issue for this evening. Should NCAA athletes get compensation for playing their respective sports? We have two guests here tonight, Aaron Blake and Chad Butler, that will What? Whose name did I say wrong? Right here on the teleprompter it says Aaron Blake and Chad... What was it? Aaron Balake? Aaron Balake? Okay. Alright. Sorry, we have two guests, Aaron Balake and Chad Butler. Is Chad Butler at least right? Okay, cool. Awesome. Aaron Balake, Chad Butler. They're here to advocate their thoughts and hopefully shed some light on this topic of heated discussion. So, why don't you take it away, guys? Yeah, thanks. So how should I do this? Am I supposed to introduce myself, or what's the story here? Because I'll just introduce myself. How poorly run is this show? Like, all right, cool. Like, anyway. So, I'm Aaron Balake. I thought you'd be able to see it right here, but I don't know how this program is run. I usually see something right here when I'm watching, not this show obviously, but other shows, and like ESPN primarily, watching my highlight tapes, and it's usually just like right here. I don't know. I thought I'd have one. I guess this isn't a reputable enough show. Whatever. So I'm Aaron Balake, and So before I advocate, I went to Morehouse State University College, and so I 4 years of football, and I just want to advocate why the NCAA should pay players to play their sports. So, so first off, what are the arguments against getting paid? Let's start there. Why should they get paid? Because I get a scholarship. Well, that's not how this works anymore. It's not a guaranteed scholarship. I got a scholarship, full ride, freshman year, but I wasn't guaranteed my next 3 years. I had to keep playing my off from freshman year to sophomore year, junior year, senior year, so that I could keep that scholarship. Otherwise, it wasn't a guaranteed free education. Some of my boys, freshman year, they got cut from the team. They lost their scholarship and had to do community college. They couldn't stick around, and so people argue and say, well, they get paid with their scholarships. They get free schooling. They get free books. They get free classes, and they get all the coaching and the tutoring they need, and free room and board and stipends if they live off campus. But what really is that? I mean, that's only guaranteed for a year unless I continue playing or any other athlete continues playing. And that's ridiculous. I mean, it could be taken away at any time. And it's crazy. But again, how free is free education? And without that, how, like, I don't know. Anyway, so how free is free education? You have the scholarship, which is another argument. But no one takes into consideration the demands that are being asked of players. Not only schoolwork, because every professor on the earth thinks that their class is the most important class, and so I gotta study for 3 exams in one class that I don't even know, and I gotta take 3 more exams in another, and I have to, I have a final coming up, and it's not even halfway through the year, and I have to do all of that while playing the sport that I got a scholarship to play. And the intense practices and the rigorous schedule. I am a student athlete, is what they call me, but I'm an athlete all the time, and I have to try to be a student all the time. And there's only 24 hours in a day, and I can't have 48 hours in a day to be two different people. It's just not it's not possible, because you've got people, coaches, asking you to try your best in practice, because you've have you ever had 3 practices in a day? Have you ever gone to the gym and lifted for an hour, gone out and conditioned for an hour plus, and then at night had a full-on, full-pad practice 3 times a day? And that's all year. Practicing all year, lifting all year, getting conditioned all year. Then we got a ridiculous game schedule, and let's not even describe how intense that is, besides the fact that you've got all these games against the biggest rivals in the world, and now you're playing your rivals, trying to get for the bowl games, because you're playing for bowl games because you're trying to get your school money that I don't see ever. And people are saying that, oh, well, you're getting paid your scholarship. Well, if I play poorly and the school doesn't get money because we didn't get into the bowl game that we wanted to, I'm gone off the team and my scholarship's gone, and I see no fruit of my labor. I kind of just get a boot and be like, yo, sorry, you weren't good enough. And that doesn't make any sense. And, it's even harder, especially because even as a young child, I grew up playing Pee Wee and Little League, and I was on my middle school's every team: track, basketball, soccer, baseball, cross country, you name it, I did it. In high school, same thing: track, baseball, football, cross country, and I tried out for basketball, but let's not even get into that. It's demanding, and when you grow up in this day and age, you are molded, you are geared towards the idea that perfection is key. I mean, look at coaches these days. Look at all of the demands that society puts on us, and you don't even think it. We're just stuck in the system. We've got commercials. We've got not running ads, running gear, running equipment companies. We've got Nike. We've got Under Armour. We got Reebok. We got Adidas. We got Puma. We got even North Face. We have commercials on TV. We have radio ads. We have even in movies. We have all of this subliminal messaging that we're not even seeing, and that gets thrown onto athletes. You're Nike, just do it. Okay, I mean, that's obvious. Like, if you're a bystander, that's cool. Like, all right, I'm gonna get motivated. But as an athlete, your coaches have that mentality. Under Armour, protect this house. That is guaranteed a football thing that I have heard my coaches tell me my entire life, even back in Pee Wee football. That is without a doubt something that is just the mentality. You do not give up. Perfection is key. If perfect practice makes perfect. That was something that one of my coaches told me growing up, and it's stuck ever since. And ever since then, if you don't get perfection and you're not striving for it, you're a waste of time. And it's ridiculous. And with when it comes to media, who do people look at? Okay, so the NFL. You have what is the trophy for the number 1 team in the world? The Lombardi Trophy, and Vince Lombardi. Okay, let's look at some of his quotes. Perfection's not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. Another one: it's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get up. And another one offhand is, the harder you work is the harder it is to surrender. Those are not thoughts of a student athlete, but this is more of a job. I have to forget everything and sacrifice my all in my life with that mentality of the harder the work, the harder it is to surrender. And if I get knocked down, I need to get back up again, because that defines who I am. And it doesn't even become a question of, oh, no, I'm playing a game because I'm a student athlete. But now it's, okay, this is your job. And our school depends on what you do on the field. And if I don't perform on the field, then it's my, it's my career. It's my scholarship. And I believe it to the end that we should get paid. I mean, also the insane schedules. I already mentioned that. The insane schedules, the classes, the tests, and not even to mention, I'm on the road half the season. I'm not even in class, and they're expecting me to maintain a certain average to make the teams look good. And okay, yeah, that people speculate that because I'm an athlete, I get special treatment in the classroom because I'm an athlete and I'm not there for half the season, and yet the team starts to manage a B average. But it's still stressful because I'm still mandated to get that work. And even if I wanna take throwaway classes and get a throwaway degree just so I can be an athlete, I'm not even guaranteed to go into the pros because that's ridiculously hard. And obviously, as a college athlete, that's what I want to do. But it's not guaranteed, and nothing's guaranteed. And I could have wasted my entire life up till I graduate trying to get to the pros, and I've made revenue. I've helped make money for this school, millions for my school, but I see nothing from it. I put my blood, sweat, and tears out on the field for that, and the school benefits, and I might not. I don't know. Next year I might not even come back, and it's not because I don't think I can. It's because my performance this year might not have been up to my coach's standards. I'll never know because my coach is chirping in my ear telling me you need to try harder, you need to do better, even if we win a game by 15. It's insane. I mean, let me try to see if I made all my points here. I mean, the insane schedules, obviously, expected to be a full-time student and keep up with the homework to maintain a student status. And I mean, many, the athletes and also just the fact of having only memories when I graduate. Like I'm a football player now, but what will I be in 3 years? Especially with my throwaway, like my general studies degree that I'm getting. Like I'll have to come back, and I can't afford coming back because I haven't made money from working as an athlete. Like if I wanted to get like a chemistry degree or an engineering degree or even a business degree, it's so much harder than general studies. And if I don't get that general studies degree and I go for something harder, then it becomes harder to become an athlete, and it becomes harder to become a student. And then I lose my scholarship, and now I'm paying for college somewhere else, and I'm no longer an athlete. And so most people on my team would say I'd rather take the general studies and be that athlete, because everybody wants to be that athlete. Everybody grows up with that aspiration to becoming the next, Joe Montana or the like. Everybody wants to be that. And if it's not football, everyone wants to be Jeter. Everybody wants to be like Mike. Everybody wants to be, everybody wants to be top dog. But it's not guaranteed. But what is guaranteed is this year, last year, what I had. It was guaranteed. All the years that I've played in college, that's guaranteed already. Let's just say what's guaranteed. Okay, let's go back. As a freshman, I was guaranteed freshman year to play. So let's say I played freshman year, and I did. All freshman year. And we won. We got the bowl that we wanted. Millions of revenue. That is guaranteed. That is guaranteed money that was made that I don't see any of. And that's money that I worked for. And the coaches were there helping me, and the school just provided the facilities and the coaching staff and the equipment for that opportunity to happen. But I helped make it happen. Without me, without my team, that school doesn't make revenue for that sport. And I don't understand why they're not paying players for this. I mean, there's millions of dollars of revenue going into NCAA athletics, and none of the players across the country are seeing any of it. And where does it go? I mean, a lot of it's off book stuff, but where does it go? Obviously, like what are the biggest sports primarily in the United States for NCAA standards? It's men's football and men's basketball. But the people that are playing those sports don't see it, and quite frankly, Austin, I'm trying to my point being, if anybody were to take anything away from what I just said, athletes work hard, they play harder, and they have something to lose at the end of the day. And in their efforts, they're making millions of dollars from the school, and the school maybe gives them a scholarship again, renews a scholarship. There's nothing guaranteed, and that's why I believe that NCAA athletes should be at least compensated for their efforts, because being a student athlete is not possible to the standards of what people believe a student athlete is. So yeah, it's pretty much what I'm thinking, you know. It's my turn. Right, finally. It's time to hear him blather on. Right, so my name's Roger Goodell. Now, sorry, I'm just kidding. Can you imagine? I bet you all of Massachusetts right now just turned their TVs off and burned them right there, stopping riots in the streets. Anyway, no, my real name's Chad Butler, and I'm here to advocate why I believe that the NCAA athletes should not be compensated for their efforts. I believe that for multiple reasons. First off, that the first is, if they were paid to play, it ruins the integrity of the NCAA. Right from its very inception in 1906, it was created because the conditions of sports at the time were very cutthroat and very dangerous. And so, at its fundamental point, the NCAA was created to protect the young athletes from the dangerous and exploitative athletic practices of the time. That being said, that goes into being paid and also being exploited and exposed to what a lot of the issues that we find in professional athletes these days are experiencing, whether it be abuse or not knowing what to do with money, and a lot of it at one time, as well as just the whole thought of, well, if one school does not bring in as much revenue as another, then how would you be able to maintain equality in that aspect? It's not really something that you can do, because you only hear the clamor from people that are making supposedly hundreds of millions of dollars from a school year, and that's not something that should be given back to the players, because it's not what the NCAA is all about. It's all about the sport and the love of it, and maintaining an environment for the love of the game, and keeping that growing within the collegiate students, maintaining the student athlete, the title. The next point that I've got for you is the free education. When they sign the letter of intent, they immediately get a full scholarship that includes books, that includes never paying for classes, that includes room and board, and the stipends to live off campus. They're paid enough through the value of their education and the time invested in each player individually by their coaches, by their teachers, by everyone that is trying to invest in them to make them become better players, better students, better people, and develop their all-around skills on the field, in the classrooms, and in their overall life, learning life skills, learning how to interact with people, and so on and so forth. The price of an education through scholarships are worth a lot. What more would a student really want? I mean, the price of college these days is through the roof. And if you're given a full ride to college, you are saving lots and lots of money. And that is something that I think student athletes these days are overlooking, which quite frankly is unfortunate because nobody understands the value of a dollar these days. The amount of people that are on financial aid and taking out loans to put their children through college is ridiculous. And for students to overlook the fact that they are there because of their athletic ability as, excuse me, their abilities as an athlete and their academic prowess as well combined is the reason they're going to college for a full ride is should not be overlooked. And I think people these days are not really understanding of that at such a young age, 18, 19, even when you graduate at 22, 23, it's still very young to understand assets and funds and how to spend money properly and what, just all of that stuff. And so that being said, with the young age from 18 to 22, 23, let's say that we were paying these athletes in the NCAA for their efforts. So let's say we've got a big D1 school that is prominent in football, and they're excuse me, not prominent, dominant in football, and they're revered as a very good football college. The university is making hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, let's say we were to pay these players, and we were to pay them from the money that was made from the season. So if you were to divvy it up onto the squadron, it'd probably tens of thousands of dollars, potentially. Even if it was only tens of thousands of dollars, let's say it was tens of thousands of dollars, minimally. You give tens of thousands of dollars to an 18 to 23-year-old student who is not paying for college, does not understand where his room and board are coming from because he or she has no responsibility from where the money is going, therefore does not feel that he owns anything, feels like he can do whatever he wants because there will be no repercussions. So now you are throwing at him tens of thousands of dollars, and this young adult is very young and playing a sport that he or she loves and is given this much money and doesn't know what to do with it. There lies the issue of alcohol and drug abuse. Buying things that they cannot afford, buying fancy cars and not understanding what it takes to buy a fancy car, buying a sports car, the insurance that goes with that there's so much that goes into life and buying things and what it would mean to take that tens of thousands of dollars and putting it away into a savings account or investing. And these athletes are too young to understand what any of that is really at this point, unless they've learned from their parents, and that's not normally something that happens. So you take this and you've got these student athletes. Now let's say a more realistic scenario. These athletes are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and the issue just increases exponentially. And quite frankly, you've got a Manziel situation, if not worse. And so the NCAA tries to steer clear of that because it diverts from what it originally was meant for, an organization to provide a safe environment for young athletes in the collegiate university level, and it would become a younger professional league. And what would that mean for students is that we would have the issues in the pros occurring to much younger and younger athletes. And that doesn't seem to be, something that would be beneficial to society, really. If just the misuse and the opportunity being there just would not fly. Plus, it would also take away from the meaning behind a student athlete. Right now, without them being played, they are students and they are athletes. The second that we pay them, they are now workers. They are now part of a company, and they are no longer obliged to be a student because they are paid to be athletes, just like the professionals are paid to be athletes. No longer do they have to take the school. No longer do they have to work for their degrees. They are there to be athletes. And what you have is a completely different setup, and it is basically another professional league on a minor scale. I'd say minor league, but baseball already has some of those. So what you're looking at is a complete revamp of the system by paying student athletes. That's that would redefine the sports, and it would change. And the issues that we have with student athletes trying to make it pro would now go from college age students, ages 18 to 23 or so, making it professionally, and it would lower that age to high school level. And high school students, age probably around 13, 14 to 17, 18 years old, would now be looking forward instead of to college, but would be focusing harder to potentially be a professional at the collegiate level. And what we would have is a divergence of athlete and student at a much younger age. So now we have a generation of athletes that gave up on education probably back in middle school because they were focusing so much on athletics, because they were looking for that paycheck. They were looking for that money to show off their natural born talents. And that becomes a completely different societal issue. If we're looking to benefit our future, and sports is a main component of current day society and our future generations. Worldwide, sport is used for entertainment, for settlement, for exercise, for recreation, for countless things. It's an art form. It's strict. It's very. It's ranging. You can't really classify what sport is, because everyone has their own different interpretation, and it's so broad. But because of how important it is, and because of how much money colleges are making, and how much money the professional sports are making, it would get bumped down age-wise and create a grander problem. Students in high school would be more concerned about sports than they would their studies. And I think that would take away what the NCAA was trying to originally accomplish, and create a bigger issue where another company could come in, and where would it end? If we're currently trying to make our children play at a younger age, what would stop us from paying our kids to play at a younger age? And if we started paying players in the collegiate level for their efforts as athletes, even though their scholarship is their payment as an athlete, otherwise they not most likely, it's not fair, but probably would not be getting that full ride if it wasn't partially for their athletic prowess. They wouldn't be going to that college for free. So I don't know, personally, it just becomes that issue. And I kind of lost my train of thought there, really. I delved into that, but let's see what points. Yes, right. So another thing would be, it would be very, very hard to differentiate between the different schools. For instance, let's take Duke. Duke's very well known and renowned for basketball, as well as lacrosse. But what about the other sports? What about volleyball? Oh, soccer, what the revenues coming in for basketball, March Madness throughout the season, the lacrosse team rose to prominence. Um, and even football, bringing in lots of money. And so if all those players were paid, the issue would arise, how much should they get paid? Okay, well, let's say they get tens of thousands of dollars because they're pulling in hundreds of millions. Do football players get paid more than volleyball players? And why is that fair? They're both putting in the same effort. And that's not an issue that should be dealt with, because you take Duke and you take UVA-Wise, not University of Virginia, UVA-Wise, the liberal arts college. You take UVA-Wise and you look at their baseball team, you look at their football team, you look at their other teams, and you realize they're not pulling in hundreds of millions of dollars. Unless you're from Virginia. Even if you're in Virginia, you might not have ever heard of UVA-Wise. So their revenue's not going to be as stacked as Duke. Where's that discrepancy? Where's that money discrepancy, I should have said, going to go? You've hundreds of millions, and not really sure where, but not really close to that. Probably maybe $1 million, if that. It just becomes unfair, and money was never the point of the NCAA. Everything I just said about the money was to poke a hole in the people saying we should get paid to play. Well, yeah, paid to play sounds all well and good, but it's only from those high revenue producing colleges. And I just personally believe, and I know others definitely believe, and NCAA definitely has to believe, because they're not paying the players. And at the foundation of what the NCAA was, it was not to pay players. It wasn't to create this revenue-based thing. They're a non-profit organization. They're trying to maintain the love of the sport in an organized fashion at the highest level possible. And I think they're doing it quite well. They're paying players, if you will, with scholarships, and that they shouldn't need any more than that. They're getting a full ride to play sports and get a degree. A degree will set you up for your job in the future. You don't. That's a win-win. You're playing sports. You could potentially go pro, and you have a degree to fall back on. There shouldn't really be an argument after that. So, to answer your question, as I have multiple times, but it's 60 minutes, so for those who probably have tuned out already, cut and dry. Should NCAA athletes get paid for their efforts? No, they should not. They get paid already with scholarships, for the full rides, and the degrees, and they shouldn't need much more than that. Thanks, guys. Very insightful. Did you coordinate your outfits? Because you guys look like you got that bandana thing going on. Yeah. Alright, well, whatever. Anyway, moving on. By the looks of it, we're almost out of time for tonight. I just want to thank you guys for tuning in and watching tonight's episode on whether or not NCAA players should get paid for their efforts as athletes. Anyway, as always, I'm your host, Austin O'Brien. Thank you for watching tonight's episode of 60 Minutes.